All right, today we're jumping into a text that's, well, it's surrounded by a ton of mystery and, frankly, a lot of misunderstanding. We're going to be decoding the Chinachara Tantra. You know, when you hear the word Tantra, what comes to mind? For a lot of people, it's all these sensationalized, kind of wild ideas. But what if we just pushed all that noise aside and went straight to the source? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're using this ancient text as our key to unlock what's really going on with this philosophy. Okay, so first things first, where does Tantra even fit in the huge landscape of Indian philosophy? I think the most important thing to get right off the bat is that it's not just some branch of the Vedas. Nope, it's really its own completely distinct stream of knowledge. And this slide right here, it just lays it out so perfectly. The source text basically splits Indian spiritual literature into two big categories. On one side, you've got Nigam. Think of this as the Vedas, knowledge that was heard or revealed to ancient sages. But then, on the other side, you have Agam, and that's the Tantras. This is knowledge that came from a divine source, often framed as this incredible dialogue between Shiva and Parvati. And get this, the name Tantra itself is like a secret code to its purpose. It comes from two Sanskrit roots, tan, which means to expand, and tra, which means to liberate. So right away, we should stop thinking of it as just another belief system. It's more like a practical science, a technology really. It's a whole toolkit for expanding your own consciousness and liberating all that human potential locked inside. Now, this whole idea of expansion and liberation, it leads us straight to the absolute heart of Tantra's philosophy. And that philosophy is all built around one incredibly powerful concept, Shakti. And this is where things get, well, pretty profound. It's a total shift in how you see everything. In Tantra, Shakti, this divine feminine energy, she isn't just one god among many, no way. She is the very fabric of reality. She's the dynamic, creative power that literally manifests the entire universe. So from that point of view, everything you see, everything you feel, everything you are, it's all her energy in action. But it's not just this one big, vague force. The text actually breaks this cosmic energy down into three primal powers that shape, well, everything. First, you've got Shakti. That's the power of will, the initial spark or desire. Then there's Shakti, the power of knowledge, the consciousness that gives it form and design. And finally, Shakti, the power of action, which, you guessed it, actually brings it all into existence. Will, knowledge, action. Boom. Okay, so that's the big picture. The universe is Shakti. The natural question then is, how do you actually work with that? How does a person connect with this energy? And this is where Tantra gets super practical. It doesn't just leave you with philosophy, it gives you a structured path, a discipline called sadhana. And what's so cool about this path, this sadhana, is just how complete it is. It's not just one thing, it's a whole system. You start with Jnana Kanda, the path of knowledge. Gotta have that foundation, right? Then you move into Yoga Kanda, the practices of union. That's supported by Kriya Kanda, which involves ritual. And it all gets tied into your everyday life with Charya Kanda, which is all about your conduct and lifestyle. It's the whole package, a complete system for transformation. All right, now we're getting to one of the most famous and, honestly, one of the most powerful ideas in all of Tantra. It's this concept that the massive cosmic energy of Shakti, it's not just out there in the universe, it's also right here, inside of us, lying dormant. This inner power has a name you've probably heard, Kundalini Shakti. The texts describe it with this incredible image, a coiled serpent of immense spiritual potential just sleeping at the base of your spine. It's basically the blueprint for higher consciousness, and the text says every single one of us has it. And that's what Kundalini Yoga is all about. The whole point is to awaken that sleeping energy. Using very specific techniques, the goal is to get that energy moving, to guide it up through the body's energy centers. You know them as the chakras, one by one. So where is all this energy going? What's the final stop on this journey? It all culminates at the crown of the head, at the crown chakra. This is the big moment. It's where your individual energy, the Shakti within you, finally unites with the universal consciousness, Shiva. And according to the text, that union, that is moksha. That is total liberation. Okay, so this is where we have to talk about the stuff that gets, well, controversial. The parts that are really, really misunderstood. And to get it right, we absolutely have to look at these rituals using the context the text itself gives us. So let's just put it right out there. Why are some of these rituals so controversial? The answer, and it's a big one, is that Tantra isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's way, way more nuanced than people give it credit for. And here's where that nuance really kicks in. The scriptures talk about 7 different schools of conduct called acharas. And the whole idea is that different people need different paths. It's a spectrum, you know? It ranges from the very conventional, Vedachara, which follows all the rules, all the way to something like Kalachara, which is for super advanced practitioners. And that path, it intentionally uses things society calls taboo as a way to break free from them. This table is super helpful for wrapping your head around this. Let's talk about the 5 M's, the Pancha Makara. These are a big deal in some of those advanced paths. Now, you see the literal meanings on the left, wine, meat, and so on. But the text is crystal clear that for the real practitioner, it's all about the deeper symbolic meaning. So wine isn't just wine. It's the divine nectar you experience flowing from the crown chakra during meditation. And sexual union isn't just physical. It's the ultimate metaphor for that inner union of your personal energy with the universal consciousness. See the difference? It's huge. Okay, so after all this, the philosophy, the yoga, the rituals, what's the point? Where is all of this supposed to take you? Well, it all funnels down to one singular ultimate goal. And that goal has a name, Jivan Mukti. And this is a game changer. This isn't about dying and going to heaven or some other realm. The whole point of Tantra is to achieve complete spiritual liberation, to become fully enlightened while you are still living, right here, right now in this body. And this quote just hits it perfectly. It gets right to the heart of what that liberation is. The text says that when you're finally free from the snare of the senses, from your limited way of seeing things, you don't go somewhere else. You realize that your true nature is divine. You become Shiva. You are eternally one with that supreme consciousness. And another thing that was just, wow, so ahead of its time. This path was radically inclusive. The text makes it absolutely plain. In the circle of practice, social stuff like caste or creed, it means nothing. Everyone is equal. Why? Because at the core, every single person is just a different expression of that one divine consciousness. All are Shiva. So let's wrap up with maybe the most powerful idea from the Chinachara Tantra. The idea that the entire universe, with all of its power and mystery, is mirrored right here, inside your own body. The greatest journey isn't about looking outward for some far-off heaven. It's about turning inward. And that leaves us with a pretty deep question to ponder, doesn't it? What changes for you when you start to really believe that the key to the entire universe is already inside you?